Good morning. Well, it's morning whenever I'm recording this. It'll be afternoon by the time you guys see it because YouTube seems to think that a majority of my traffic is around 5:30 in the evening. So that's why I do that, 5:30 Central. That's why I usually schedule these for that time. So, anyway, we're going to talk about the constellations today for just a little bit. I had some questions from somebody out of the United States, and he actually was sharing some very interesting Hindu information. And it's like it all comes in together. So if you've been on, with me for very long, you know that, you know that it all comes in together. And the Bible and the Book of Enoch and some of these extra books explain how it all works together. So people kind of have this idea, and we've kind of talked about it in our family. We've talked about how, people in other religions look at Christians and they're like, oh, you're a Christian. And so how you act is they they don't understand the concept of you for actual biblical Christianity. You can't just say you're a Christian or be born a Christian. And other people in other religions don't understand that. It's not something that you're born into. It's not something you can just say you are. It's something you are supposed to actually believe wholeheartedly in so that it becomes a conversion of your life. It is the ultimate transformation of life, of your life. Okay. So if you don't like how your life is going or you're frustrated with things, um, biblical Christianity, actual biblical Christianity is the transformation you are looking for. Okay. Period. End of story. So, um, but it's hard for other people to really understand that a complete transformation. We talk about repentance, we talk about sin and all those kinds of things. People don't understand what those are anymore. They just don't understand what those are anymore. Um, a repentance is a complete turning away from something that's hurting you or hurting the people around you. That's what repentance is. And sin is something that is hurting you or hurting the people around you. Basically, it's a very basic thing, but it's been made into this super religiosity, churchianity thing that I don't think hardly anybody actually grasps anymore. Very few, very few. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I was going to go into, I was trying to explain my book to him. I'm like, oh yeah, because what he had shared with me, and I don't even remember what it was, he shared two reels with me, and and I'm like, oh, that goes into my book. I wrote about this type of stuff, and and tried to tell him, tried to give him a nutshell, and he's like, that makes no sense to me, you know. And I'm like, okay, um, I need to, and I sent him screenshots of what I was talking about, and he's like, wow, that's interesting. I said, I guess I should do a video. He said, yes, you should definitely do a video. So I'm gonna listen, and I'm gonna do a video. So this what this started out as is the constellations for homeschooling, basically. I wanted to study this because I was raised New Age with zodiac and all that stuff. But coming dedicating my life to the Lord and completely changing my thinking with that complete transformation, I was trying to figure out how the stars and the constellations and everything fit. And this is pre 2017. So um, you need to understand that whenever you read the book. And it's a little bitty book. I originally made it a it was bigger. It had notebooking pages and stuff in it because it was for homeschooling. We basically scrapbooked through the stars, and then I had friends saying, "You need to put this into a curriculum so the rest of us can do this." And so that's what it happened. And then once I published it, it was adult Bible studies that were buying it. There were adults that were buying it. They weren't buying it for homeschooling. Homeschoolers look at this and they think zodiac and they run. Okay. Um, and I've got a coloring book now too because most of the images of constellations are not child friendly. They're not family friendly. Okay, so I made my own coloring book, drew my own pictures, and did them based on these star names rather than what the quote unquote constellations traditionally look like. I based them on what I thought the original star names they actually meant. Okay, so let's go into this. Okay, zodiac actually means circle of animals. Um, you go through all of these, and I'm noticing that Wikipedia is taking out the old Hebrew and Arabic meanings of things. So there's going to come a time you're only going to be able to get this information from books like this, unfortunately. This is from etymology.com, and they don't go back much past the 14th century on most of their etymology, which, generally speaking, most of English comes from the Latin and Greek. Okay, we did Latin from the roots up, or Latin and Greek from the roots up. Yeah, in homeschooling, so that my children could get a basis of Latin and Greek. Okay, and I think that's a good idea for all homeschoolers. Get that program, do that, help them learn where the language comes from. But, and I need to do another video on this at some point in time, the Greek comes from the Hebrew. So, and that's, some people may think I'm stretching it there, but really, I'm not. I'm not. All languages go back to the ancient, ancient Arabic, ancient Hebrew, all of them. I, I can't say the Asian because I do not get it, but most of them do too. So I'm just going to leave that there too. So anyway, I'll make another video on that at some point. Um, Libra wasn't an animal. That's the October sign constellation. But the Greeks considered it the claws of Scorpio. Okay. But Libra, the Romans put Libra back in. And so anyway, here's what you got, right? And this is part of the reason that I don't go for a 13-month year every year. There are 13 months in the lunar year. Okay, there are absolutely. But uh, in the Hebrew calendar, there's only a 13th month every so often. There, like every 4 to 7 years or something like that. So there are only 12 main constellations. There are. Um, okay, Genesis 1, go back here, and let them be lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night and the stars. And this is in the ESV here. And God set them in the expanse of heaven for three reasons: to give light on the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. Now, he had already separated light from darkness, but this is to help. Okay. And God saw that it was good. And there was the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And biblically speaking, for anybody who doesn't know, the day biblically begins in the evening, not in the morning, not with the sunrise. It begins at sundown when the sun goes down. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So the word star in Hebrew is kebab. No, kokebab. Kokab. Kokab. I've been calling it kebab, so it's kebab for me from now on. Kokebab. Kokab. Kokab. Anyway, the definition is star with a capital S, but the meaning is a star, a prince. Okay. And of course, biblical cosmology, we believe the stars are one of two things. Uh, they're actual entities, they're actual celestial beings, or two, the home of an actual celestial being, or they're a window between us and that up there. Okay. Uh, this word origin is from an unused root meaning to heap up and roll together, which is funny because later in scripture it talks about the heavens and the stars rolling up like a scroll in the end. So that's interesting. So star, lightning, brightness, radiance, aster is the Greek. Um, this is where and this is where the languages go together, because the Persian word Esther, star, was what Hadassah's name was changed to Esther in the story, which we're going to be having Purim here pretty soon. Purim is in the spring. It's comes from the story of Esther. And so you have Esther and Aster, star. So again, we've got languages coming together there. Okay, so I based my book off of E.W. Bullinger's book. He wrote this book in the 1800s, and The Witness of the Stars. And the basis of it is that God originally, at the beginning, put the gospel in the stars. He put the prophecy of Yeshua's coming, of his coming the first time as a lamb and his coming the second time as the conquering king. He put that in the stars. So in the spring, when we have Passover, you have Aries, the Passover lamb. Okay. And then in around August, September, you have Leo, the lion of the tribe of Judah. All right. So it's amazing. And in September, you have Virgo, the virgin. And each one of the constellation has like a couple of uh, partner constellations that go with it. So Virgo also has a constellation, Coma, that has the the Virgin and her child with her. Okay, and that is where this was going. All of these other religions have got a story of a virgin birth, and it comes from this. God put it in the stars from the beginning. It was a prophecy. And so the way I see it in my worldview is that all of these other religions after the Tower of Babel, and the Bible talks about everybody spoke the same language after the flood. And whenever I say antediluvian, I mean it means it's actual uh, archaeological word that means before the deluge. Okay. So there was a worldwide flood, and there's plenty of evidence for that, especially in India, with especially in India, there's definitely evidence of a worldwide flood and a pre-flood civilization, antediluvian civilization, and uh, after the flood. Noah on his ark with his family, saved himself and animals and, plants and things. He probably had seeds. He probably had books, and he had stories. And he had the story of what the stars, because that didn't change in the worldwide flood. That didn't change. The stars didn't change. So the prophecies that were in the stars went with them. And then after the flood, then we had Nimrod, aka probably Gilgamesh, okay, building a huge tower to the heavens and was wanting to get back at God for the flood. And at that point, God changed all of the languages. So, and there's a king's list that goes through and tells you the name of the kings. And I think it tells you the name of the kings in the different languages. So anyway, um, that's what happened. That's what happened. And after the Tower of Babel, everybody split up because God said, "Go multiply over the earth," but they were trying to just congregate together in one city and wanted to take over God. And he's like, "Nope, thump." And he changed everybody's languages and they spread out over the earth like they were supposed to. And they took the stories with them. And like telephone, they're going to change along the way. And some of the stories became like a past tense. This has already happened. And so that's where that came from. So E.W. Bullinger's book was really good, but I wanted to make something a little bit more simplified. Uh, that children and us, limited individuals, I guess, can understand a little bit better and then have, more family friendly drawings in it of the constellations. And then he bases his off of the Dendera, and I'm probably saying that wrong, zodiac. Um, and on Wikipedia it says it's quoting this John R. Rogers, or John H. Rogers, but it doesn't say who he was. Um, the only complete map we have of the ancient sky. And I was actually going to pull up a couple of websites to show it. But this is I don't think they've dated it at the right time. I disagree with their dating on this. I think it's older than what they're saying it is, but this has been conjectured in the past to represent the basis on which later astronomy systems are based. So let me stop share there. And then right here, I need to change. I think. Okay. The Dendera Zodiac. I think this is the one that I actually want. Is that what it's showing? I hope that's what it's showing. Let me stop share and just make sure that I'm on the right page. Yeah, it is. Okay, so here we have the Temple of Hathor, goddess of love, and yes, these are so interesting. And the Dendera is the place where this is, I guess, in Egypt. So they give this temple, they say it was built and erected in 125 BC. You guys know I'm going to question that. The that's when it was built. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, there's all kinds of fun information here. But here's the relief. Here is the exhibit, the 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 zodiac thing. It is being exhibited in the Louvre in Paris at this point. So it is this carving that I guess was in the ceiling, part of the ceiling of the Hathor temple. That is what it is. it just fascinates me. Some of this just fascinating. Now, I don't know where they took this out of the temple supposedly and why they think it belongs in Paris. But and then if you go to the Wikipedia, it gives you, a picture of it as well. And then um yeah, that's not gonna help, is it? Um, but anyway, there's a whole thing. Here's the constellations. It's very accurate. The thing is, it's very accurate. But whenever you go in and you look at the images in here, it has the Virgin and her baby and the whole kit and caboodle. Okay. I believe it's older than it is, but um, than they say it is. I believe it's older than they say it is. Um, but I that's me. That's me. And if you look through India, stories from India, Native American stories, South American stories, Mexican stories, all the different, you will find all of this depicted in all of them. So here's a good example. Okay. Polaris and the Big Dipper. Um, and again, Wikipedia does not have the same information now that they did have before. Because they were saying this is the earliest they're giving. They're not giving the Sumerian history anymore, the Akkadian history anymore. They're not giving the Arabic history anymore. They weren't even listing the if you look at Polaris or the Big Dipper, they're not even listing the Egyptian, and that Egyptian relief is supposed to be the best known of the ancient sky, and they're not listing them anymore on Wikipedia. They've taken them out, and I know that they were in there before. So Polaris and the Big Dipper, this is where you get the quote unquote swastika. Okay, swastika has nothing to do with um, Jerkwad just used it. Okay. So here's the Greek, the Tibet, Japan, Aztec, Hindu, Ceylon, Ceylon, Malta, China, Christian, Islamic, Hopi, Bali. I'm not Lapland, Jewish, Jain, Celt. Okay, that's what this is. It is Polaris and Big Dipper. It shows the different seasons. Okay. Um, it was called the Bear. The Big Dipper was called the Bear. In several of the different countries. And again, proving my point. Tower of Babel. But it was also known, and they're saying this is a later meaning, and I'm not sure about that. I would question that again. The seven sages. And you guys know that um, Shelley over at There's a No Place Like Home has talked about the seven sages. Now you see TV has talked about seven sages. Um, I don't think I've done a specific video on the seven sages. Maybe I need to do that at some point in time. But okay. And there's a couple of places in the Bible where it talks about the seven stars. Um, in Amos, it says the seven stars. They automatically put that with Pleiades. They automatically, but the word, it's an unknown word in the Hebrew that doesn't apply to anywhere else, is not used anywhere else in the Hebrew. So they're automatically assuming this is Pleiades. But it might be the Big Dipper, the seven stars. Okay. And then we've got Job, and then, of course, Revelation talks about seven stars, right? So these are places in the Bible that it talks about the constellations. So there's nothing about the constellations that are evil. God put them there. Okay. And I think that's the end of my thing. Yeah. I was wanting to keep this fairly short, sweet, and to the point, if possible. If you're interested, my book and the coloring book, you actually get the coloring book free if you buy it through the client hub in the group, from the group, in my courses. and you can download and print them if you want to. I've got colored star charts, so it was an expensive print if you get these on if you get the book on Amazon. The reason that it is the price that it is because the star charts are color. I've got the colors of the stars. I think it's fascinating, and I think it's potentially important. So anyway, that that is the basis of what, I've done a little bit on the Tower of Babel. I should see if I can do a card on the Tower of Babel and what I did. I think I did a little bit. But that's just kind of the basics there. Don't be afraid of, the zodiac is not going to tell us who we're going to fall in love with or how our day is going to go. Okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. Um, what it was put there for was for hope for the people on the ark at the time and for people throughout history, hope of what was going to happen. Um, and that, the promised seed and savior was going to come and fix things that we broke and continue to break. So, um, it's a lot of fun whether you follow suit with it or not. If you're interested in history, and I put in the ancient names to the various stars in the various constellations, the ones that I can find, and attach uh, applicable Bible verses that go with them. There's a few things that I maybe kind of smudged um, a little bit based on the studying that I was doing through the Greek stuff, and saying, hey, what if this is what God meant with this one? Because some of it's so Greekified that you kind of have to, okay, what did God originally mean? And that's the whole purpose, is to redeem the stars for their original intent. So anyway, I hope that helps. I hope it gives it a basis. And I'm not doing this just to, you can go get E.W. Bullinger's book. Used to, you could get the Kindle version for like $1. So, I mean, you don't have to buy mine. This isn't just a plug to buy my stuff. Um, and if somebody leaves that in the comment, I'm going to tell them you did not watch it through the whole video because I told you. You do not need, I did this with my family because this was something we were interested in at the time. And we had a blast doing it. Um, I was asked to write this, you know, and after I did, I will tell you, Paul, while I was sitting there holding the book, and the original book was bigger because it had the coloring pages and everything were in the same book. And I was holding it, and Paul's like, and I'm like, hey, my book, it's got my name on it and stuff, cool. And he's like, I wish you would have done that a long time ago because our children need to see you succeed. And that really hit me because I'm an artist and I'm a writer, and I had been kind of just burying myself in order to encourage them in their things. And I didn't want to be seen as one of those parents that was constantly trying to compete with their children. But I tell you, after I did this, Catherine started writing her novel, her first one. So I would just leave you with that little bit of an encouragement that if you have something that you really enjoy, don't wait. Don't wait. Take your children on the adventure with you. Write the book. Do the art. You know, do the thing. God put that bit of his creativity in you for a reason. Go with it. go with it. So anyway, okay, I'm gonna go because I need to go to the chiropractor. So I will see you all later. Oops, wrong button.